everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Emma, your host, and today I'm joined, as always, by Jake. Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Emma. Thanks for asking. I had a really good morning. Coffee was perfect, which honestly sets the tone for the whole day.
Right? Coffee is basically the foundation of a productive day. So, Jake, today we're talking about something that I think a lot of people find either exciting or absolutely terrifying. Giving a speech or a presentation.
Oh, absolutely terrifying is right. I mean, there's even a famous statistic that says more people are afraid of public speaking than they are of death, which is wild when you think about it.
That is wild. So you'd rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy, as the joke goes.
Exactly. Jerry Seinfeld actually made that joke. But in all seriousness, it's a huge topic. Almost everyone has to give some kind of speech or presentation at some point in their lives, at school, at work, at a wedding.
Totally. And for our listeners who are learning English, this is even more layered, right? Because you're not just nervous about speaking in front of people, you're doing it in a second language.
Which is a whole other level of challenge. I really admire anyone who does that. It takes a lot of courage, honestly.
It really does. Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. Jake, when someone is asked to give a presentation, let's say at work, what's usually the first thing they should do?
Great question. The first thing, before you even think about what you're going to say, is to understand your audience. Who are you talking to? Are they experts in the topic? Are they complete beginners? That changes everything.
Right, because if you're presenting to a room full of engineers and you explain something super basic, they'll feel a little talked down to, like you're treating them as if they don't know anything.
Exactly. Talked down to. That's a great phrase. It means you're speaking to someone as if they're less intelligent or less knowledgeable than they are. You definitely want to avoid that.
And on the flip side, if your audience is totally new to the topic and you use too much technical language, jargon, you'll lose them pretty quickly.
Yeah, jargon is a tricky one. Jargon means the specialized words or phrases that people in a particular field use. Like doctors have medical jargon, lawyers have legal jargon. When you use it with people who don't know it, communication breaks down fast.
So knowing your audience is step one. What's step two in your opinion?
I'd say step 2 is having a clear structure. Your presentation needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. That sounds really obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people just ramble. They go off in all directions and the audience gets lost.
Ramble. Yeah, that means to talk for a long time in a disorganized way, kind of jumping from topic to topic without a clear path.
Exactly. And when the audience gets lost, they get bored. And when they get bored, they check their phones.
Which is the worst feeling as a speaker, I imagine. You're up there pouring your heart out and someone's scrolling through Instagram.
Oh, it's crushing. It happened to me once during a presentation at university. I looked out and one person was literally online shopping.
No! What did you do?
I just kept going. What else can you do? But it did make me realize I needed to work on keeping people engaged. That was a real turning point for me, actually.
That's such a good anecdote. So engagement is key. How do you keep an audience engaged during a presentation?
There are a few strategies. One of the most effective is to start with something that grabs their attention right away, what people in public speaking call a hook. It could be a surprising fact, a short story, a question, or even a joke if you're confident enough.
I love the idea of starting with a question. It immediately makes the audience think, makes them feel involved, like you're having a conversation rather than delivering a lecture.
Exactly. And people respond to stories, too. Humans are wired for storytelling. We've been doing it around campfires for thousands of years. So if you can weave a story into your presentation, even a short one, people will pay attention.
Wired for.
I like that phrase. It means naturally designed or built to do something. Like it's hard-coded in us.
Right. It's almost biological. We just connect with narratives on a deep level.
Okay, so we have know your audience, have a clear structure, start with a hook, use storytelling. What about the actual delivery, like how you speak?
Delivery is huge. And I think one of the most common mistakes people make, especially nervous speakers, is talking too fast. When you're anxious, you tend to speed up without even realizing it.
Oh, I do that. When I'm nervous, I just want to get it over with, so I rush through everything.
Most people do. But speaking too fast makes it hard for the audience to follow you. And it also makes you seem less confident, ironically. Slowing down actually gives you more authority.
That's counterintuitive, right? You'd think speaking faster would make you seem more competent, like you know so much you can just pour it all out. But actually, the opposite is true.
Completely. Pausing, actually stopping and being silent for a moment can be incredibly powerful. It feels like they need to fill every second.
The dreaded and
Yes. Filler words. Like, basically. These creep in when we're uncomfortable with silence. And a few are totally fine, natural even. But if every other word is it becomes really distracting.
How do you get rid of filler words? Is it just practice?
Practice is a big part of it, yeah. But the first step is actually becoming aware of them. Most people don't even realize how often they say So record yourself, even just on your phone, and listen back. It's uncomfortable, but it's incredibly useful.
Recording yourself is great advice. It's one of those things that feels awkward, but really pays off. You notice things about your speaking that you'd never catch in the moment.
Exactly. And it's not just filler words. You'll also notice things like whether you're making eye contact, whether your posture looks confident, whether you're speaking clearly.
Let's talk about eye contact for a second, because I think that's a really big one. Especially in Western cultures, making eye contact with your audience is really important, right?
Very important. It creates connection. It signals confidence. If you're staring at your notes the whole time or looking at the screen behind you, the audience feels disconnected, like you're not really talking to them.
But it can also feel overwhelming to look at a room full of people staring back at you. Do you have any tips for handling that?
One technique is to pick a few friendly faces in different parts of the room and rotate between them. You don't need to make eye contact with every single person. That would actually be kind of creepy.
Like you're scanning the room like a robot?
Exactly! Just find 3 or 4 people who seem engaged and responsive and anchor yourself to them. It makes the whole thing feel more like a conversation.
I've also heard the advice of looking at the back wall if you're really nervous. Like it looks like you're looking at people, but you're not really making direct eye contact.
That works as a beginner trick, yeah. But I'd say try to graduate from that as quickly as possible. Real eye contact is much more powerful.
Graduate from, meaning move past it, progress beyond it.
Right, like you've completed that level and you're ready for the next one.
Okay, let's talk about something that I personally find really difficult, which is the physical side of presenting. Like, what do you do with your hands?
The eternal question. Hands are so awkward. People don't know whether to cross their arms, put them in their pockets, hold them behind their back.
I tend to grip the podium like I'm trying to strangle it.
The death grip. Yeah, that's a very common one.
The thing is, your hands should actually be working for you, using gestures to emphasize points, to show size or direction, to add energy to what you're saying.
Natural gestures, not like you're doing some kind of interpretive dance.
Right, not choreographed. Just let your hands move naturally. If you watch great speakers, TED Talk speakers, for example, their hands are always in motion.
but it feels completely organic, not forced.
That's a good point about TED Talks. They're such a great resource for studying presentation skills. You can literally watch hundreds of different speakers and pick up on what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely. And what I love about TED Talks is that the speakers come from such different backgrounds. Scientists, artists, activists, and they all have different styles. So you can find someone whose style resonates with you and kind of model yourself after them.
Resonates with you. That means it connects with you on a deeper level. It feels right or meaningful to you personally.
Exactly. Like a frequency that matches your own.
Let's shift gears a little and talk about preparation. How much preparation is enough? Is there such a thing as over-preparing?
That's a really interesting question. I think under-preparation is obviously the bigger risk. Going in without enough practice leads to stumbling, losing your place, forgetting key points.
Completely blanking, which is terrifying.
Terrifying. Going blank means your mind just empties. You forget everything you were going to say. It happens most often when anxiety peaks, usually right at the start.
So, how do you get through those first few seconds?
The opening is absolutely critical. If you can get through the first 30 seconds smoothly, your nerves usually start to settle. So over-prepare the opening. Know exactly how you're going to start, word for word if you need to.
That's really practical advice. And I guess the opposite of going blank is being so over-rehearsed that you sound like a robot, right? Like you've memorized a script and you're just reciting it?
Yes, that's the danger of memorizing word for the whole thing. You want to know your material deeply, but you want the actual words to be somewhat spontaneous, or at least sound spontaneous.
So it's more about knowing your key points really well and then speaking naturally around them?
Exactly. Think of it like landmarks on a map. You know the key points you need to hit, but the path between them can vary. That gives you flexibility and makes it sound natural.
I love that map analogy. Okay, let's talk about nerves more specifically, because I think this is what holds most people back. What are some real strategies for managing presentation anxiety?
There are physical strategies and mental strategies. On the physical side, deep breathing is genuinely effective. Not shallow chest breathing, but slow, deep diaphragm breathing. It actually tells your nervous system to calm down.
It's almost like tricking your body into thinking you're relaxed.
Kinda, yeah. Your body and mind are really connected. And there's actually research showing that adopting a confident posture, standing tall, shoulders back, can shift your mental state too. Some people call it power posing.
Oh, I've heard of that. Standing like a superhero before you go on stage.
Exactly. Hands on hips, chest out. It feels a little silly doing it in the bathroom before a presentation, but apparently it works.
I'll try anything at that point. What about the mental side?
Mentally, one of the most helpful shifts is to reframe why you're nervous. Research suggests that nervousness and excitement are physiologically very similar. Your heart is racing, you have adrenaline, your senses are heightened. The difference is just the story you tell yourself about what it means.
So instead of telling yourself, I'm terrified, you tell yourself, I'm excited.
Exactly. I'm excited to share this. It sounds almost too simple, but it can genuinely change how you perform.
That's fascinating. I've also heard that focusing outward helps. Like, instead of thinking about how you're coming across, focus on being genuinely useful to your audience. Shift the focus from yourself to them.
That's huge. Presentation anxiety is often really self-centered. Not in a bad way, just in the sense that all your thoughts are about you. What if I mess up? What if they judge me? Shifting the focus to how can I help these people understand this topic completely changes the dynamic.
It becomes less of a performance and more of a service.
Beautifully put. Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's talk about visual aids. Things like slides, PowerPoint, that kind of thing. Because I feel like a lot of presentations are just way too many words on a slide.
Death by PowerPoint. It's a real phenomenon. Someone just puts their entire script on the slides and then reads it out loud to the audience.
Which defeats the whole purpose. The audience can read. They don't need you to read it to them.
Exactly. Slides should support what you're saying, not replace it. A good slide has minimal text, maybe a key phrase or statistic, and a strong image. It should reinforce your message, not be the message.
What about data and charts? Those can be really useful, but also really confusing if they're not done well.
Data is tricky. The key is to always tell the audience what to look at and what it means. Don't just throw up a complex graph and assume they'll interpret it correctly. Walk them through it. Say, what this chart shows is, and then make the point clear.
So you're the guide, essentially. You're leading them through the information.
Exactly. You're the translator between the data and the audience.
Let's talk about questions. Q&A, question and answer sessions at the end of presentations. Those can be nerve-wracking in a different way, right? Because you can't prepare for every question.
Right, and this is where a lot of presenters freeze up. Someone asks something unexpected and they just don't know what to say.
What's the best way to handle a question you don't know the answer to?
Honestly, just be honest. Say, that's a great question, and I don't have the answer right now, but I'll find out and get back to you. Most audiences respect that a lot more than someone making up an answer or fumbling through a guess.
Fumbling through. That means struggling awkwardly, trying to manage something without really knowing what you're doing.
Right, like literally fumbling with something in your hands. Metaphorically, it means being clumsy with words or ideas.
And I think admitting you don't know something actually builds credibility, right? Because it shows you're not just making things up.
Absolutely. Credibility, meaning how trustworthy and believable you are, is one of the most important things a speaker can have, and honesty is a huge part of that.
What about really tough or challenging questions? Like someone who's clearly trying to trip you up or challenge your ideas in front of everyone.
Those happen, especially in professional settings. The key is to stay calm and not get defensive. Defensiveness makes you look insecure. You can acknowledge the challenge, that's a fair point, and then calmly explain your position.
Or even say, I see it differently, and here's why. You're not dismissing them, but you're standing your ground.
Exactly. Standing your ground means maintaining your position confidently without backing down under pressure. It's a useful phrase.
Okay, I want to talk about something a little different now. What about presenting in English when it's not your first language? Because that's really relevant for a lot of our listeners.
This is so important. And I want to say first, if you're presenting in your second or third language, that is genuinely impressive. The audience knows it, and most of the time, they're rooting for you.
Rooting for you, meaning they want you to succeed. They're on your side.
Yes, people are generally kind and supportive when they know someone is making the effort. So the first thing I'd say is, don't be ashamed or apologetic about your accent or your English level. Own it.
I think sometimes people start with, sorry, my English isn't perfect, and that immediately puts doubt in the audience's mind. Whereas if you just go for it confidently, people follow along much more easily.
Exactly. Confidence is communicative. If you believe in what you're saying, the audience is much more likely to believe in it too, even if your grammar isn't perfect.
What practical tips would you give for non-native speakers preparing for an English presentation?
A few things. First, write out your key phrases and practice them out loud many times. Not the whole script, just the important sentences. Make sure you're comfortable saying them smoothly. Second, learn the pronunciation of any technical terms you'll be using. Nothing undermines confidence like stumbling over a word you use constantly.
That's such a good point. If you know you're going to say pharmaceutical 20 times, you better have that word locked down.
Exactly. Practice the hard ones. Third, and this is really important, slow down even more than you think you need to. Non-native speakers often feel like they need to prove their English by speaking quickly, but slower, clearer speech is actually more impressive.
Because it shows you're in control. You're not rushing because you're nervous. You're measured, deliberate.
Exactly. Deliberate, meaning intentional, thoughtful, not rushed or accidental.
That's such a hopeful note to end on. I love that. Jake, this has been such a rich conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma. This was a lot of fun. I love talking about this stuff.
And thank you to everyone listening. I hope you found this episode helpful and maybe even a little encouraging. Whether you're preparing for a presentation at work, a speech at a special event, or just looking to feel more confident when you speak English, remember that every great speaker started exactly where you are right now.
And if you want to practice, you've already taken a great step just by listening. You're training your ear, picking up natural phrases, getting comfortable with the flow of English conversation.
Which is what this podcast is all about. All right, everyone, keep practicing, be kind to yourself, and don't give up.
Yes. Perfectly said. Bye for now, everyone.